Welcome to this tutorial about the software EDA Eyes 4.7. This software is going to be used in multiple courses in the University of Gävle. So this will be a brief tutorial on how to use the software and its various functions. So to start off, when you start the software, you will reach a portal that gives some small information about your license validation and some other information. And if you're interested in this, you can just click and see what they are about. So let's start a new project. So when you click on the new project, you will come to the main window of the software, and here we have a lot of settings, and usually what you do first is basically you start creating the geometry of your building. So here we have several tabs that you can see. First we have the general tab, and yeah, there's a lot of information here about the location, the climate, and so on. I'm not going to go into detail of what these are at this point. I will go through them later on as we move along. And so the first thing you really want to do is to create the geometry, and you do that by clicking the floor plan tab. And here you will see here you can create the geometry of your building. And this, as you can see here, we have a top view of the building layout, and currently we have these kind of dimensions, and if we click on this predefined figure that's already in EDA Eyes, you will see what kind of dimension it has on this tab or on this window over here. So what we can see is that the X side, which is this side over here, has a starting point of 0 and end point of 50. Basically what it means is that the length of this side is 50 meter, and the Y side is 20 meter, which is this one. And here we can also see the floor levels, what we currently have, and we can see here if we click on the level that this current level is starting at 0 meter above the ground level, and this is the height of the floor, and this is how high the building is, and this is how much it goes below the ground, basically. These settings we can change later, so this information you can get from the drawing, basically. And the floor area describes the total floor area of your building, and it's automatically calculated. For example, if I minimize this, you see that it will automatically calculate how much floor area you have, and the same thing with the volume as well. basically it multiplies the area times the height of the building. So here is another important part when you are creating your geometry. This describes the coordinate or the points that you have created your geometry with, and each point is represented in a coordinate system with a given value. For example, this point over here, as you can see, when you click on it, you will get a lit up point in this table. This is 0.4, and the value of the point is 0 in x, 0 for the x value, and the minus 0.36 in the y value. And for example, I want to create a building that has, I'm watching a drawing, I need to be 18.2 meters in total length for this part. So the first thing I want to do is to have this point at the starting point of 0. So what I can do is that I mark this point here, and this means that this is the 0.4, and I can just write 0 and 0 for x and y, so that it starts at central point, or you can call it origo if you want. And from here, from this point, I will build up my geometry. So I'm just going to remove this, or I can just leave it. So the next point I'm going to have is this one, and as I told you, I want to have a total length in this direction of 18.2 meters. So as we can see, the y level is a little bit above the starting point, and we want it to be the same, so we enter 0 here, and for the x direction it should be 18.2 meters. Okay, so we have the total length here is then 18.2 meters, and on this side I want the building to be 8.2 meter. So if we click on this point here, we see the x value is 0, which corresponds to the x value of the 0.4, which is 0 as well. And so the only thing we need to change is the y value, which should be 8.2. Okay, so now I have the height, or the sides of the value, the sides of the walls of my building, which is 18.2 meters in length and 8.2 meters in wide. So this means that I need to fix the other sides, and if we click on this point over here, this is point number 2, and this point, if we, for example, draw this point, you can see that it's not a good idea to actually draw this point, because it will change these values as well. And we can click undo here to go back to the previous sizes, and so we basically need to enter manually what this point should have in the coordinate system. So this should have the same level as this point over here, and we know that this one is the y direction should be the same. So if I click here, I should enter 8.2, and so I get the same height or width as this point, this point over here, and I need to have it in the same length as this point down here. So the x value should be 18.2. And now I have the correct external geometry of my building. I'm just going to move, this is an example zone that EDA will give you when you start. So I'm going to move it inside of my building. And now I want to zoom in this part. If we right click, we can see, if we right click on the mouse, we can see some of the functions that you can have access to. And I'm going to try and see if I can find okay, so the simplest way to zoom out is if you go to the General tab and you go back to the floor plan, then the software would automatically zoom in for you. And let's see if I can. Yeah, you can also use the view function over here, and you can click zoom in and zoom out. For example, if I want to zoom in here, I can zoom in a specific area. You can have zoom out, and for example, if I zoom in here, we can zoom to automatic, then it will auto fit. We can zoom into scale to 100%, we can have full page, fit to one page, and so on. It depends on what you want to do, so it's good to know that you can use this zoom function as well. Okay, so now I have the exterior part of my building, and the next part is going to be building my or creating my rooms. So as you can see, it starts with EDA Eyes will give you a predefined zone. I'm going to remove this one so I can create zones from scratch. So I can just mark this one, and I can right click, or it's actually just click on delete button on your keyboard and you can just remove it. So to create, there are several ways to create new zones and the zones are actually representing the rooms in your building. So if we click down here in this menu, we will get a pop window that says select the object, position, or click cancel. So I just created just by clicking somewhere in my drawing, and you will get a zone. And this zone you can change and fix the size of it, and also if you know the exact dimension of this zone, you can insert it in this table over here. For now, I'm just going to click OK here. So as you can see, this zone that represent an area in my building, I can click on the sides and change its sizes, and you also can see what kind of dimension this zone has in this window over here. So if I, for example, in the previous part, you saw that if I click on the external boundary, or you could say my entire building boundary, I have the information here, what the sizes are and the coordinates of these points that the building is based on. And it's the same thing for the zone. When you highlight the zone, you will get the specific information about the zone in this window. So for example, if I want to set specific dimensions to this zone, I can just change it in this table. So in this case, I want this room to be 3 meters in length and 2 meters in width. Okay, so we want to change the length of this zone. As you can see here, each of these points is represented in this table. So what I want to do, for example, I want to have a specific length of 3 meters on this side. So I will just click on this point over here, and I can see that it's distance from the X value, which is the X distance here is 2.91 meter, and I want to change that to 3, so I will do that. So this means that this point is 3 meters away from this point.